Okay, so what if you could prove you know a password without ever actually typing it in? Or how about proving you're old enough to buy a drink without ever showing your ID? I know, it sounds like some kind of magic trick, but it's not. It's a real and honestly incredibly powerful piece of cryptography that completely flips a basic assumption we make every single day. You know this feeling, right? Every single day we're faced with this trade-off. You want to sign up for a service, get a recommendation, connect with your friends, and what do you have to do? You hand over your personal info. It always feels like this all-or-nothing deal, like we're constantly being forced to reveal way more than we're comfortable with. But what if there was another way? What if it didn't have to be like that?
Let's be real. Our personal data is a huge deal. It's basically a commodity now. Think about it. Companies use it to sell us ads, to fine-tune their algorithms, and yeah, in theory, we have control. But in practice, we pretty much end up handing over the keys to our entire digital kingdom just so we can, participate in the modern world.
Okay, let's take a super common example. Getting a loan. What does the bank really need to know? They just need to know if you meet their requirements, right? That's it. But to prove that one simple thing, what do you have to do? You have to hand over everything. Your salary, your spending habits, your entire financial history. It's a total data dump. You're basically forced to overshare all this sensitive info just to prove one little fact. And that, right there, is the heart of the problem. And this is where the solution comes in. It's called a zero-knowledge proof, or ZKP for short. Now listen to this definition because it's kind of mind-bending. It's a method where you can prove something is true without giving away any information about why it's true. It's like, imagine you walk up to a secret door. You say, "I know the password," and poof, the door just opens. Anyone watching you has no idea what the password was. They just know that you knew it. So the big question, the million-dollar question is, how on earth is that even possible?
But believe it or not, we don't actually need a bunch of complex math to get the basic idea. All we need is a simple little thought experiment. Let's call it the colorblind friend analogy.
All right, so here's how it works. Picture this. You have two balls, one red and one green. You give them to your friend who happens to be colorblind. To them, the balls look exactly the same. Your whole goal here is to prove to your friend that the balls are in fact different colors, but without ever telling them this one's red or this one's green. So your friend puts the balls behind their back. Then they either switch the balls in their hands or they don't. It's their choice. They show you the balls again. And finally, you just have to tell them, yep, you switched them, or nope, you didn't switch. And because you can see the colors, you're going to be right every single time.
But hold on a second. Your friend isn't just going to take your word for it. They're smart, right? They're going to look at you and say, wait a minute, the balls still look identical to me. You had a 50-50 shot. You could have just guessed. How do I know you're not just messing with me? And you know what? They'd be absolutely right. One round proves, well, nothing at all.
So, what do? You do it again, and again, and again. Every time your friend hides the balls, randomly decides to switch or not, and you call it correctly. Every single time. And this is where the magic really happens, in the math. Think about it. The odds of guessing right once, 50%. Twice in a row, that's 1 in 4, or 25%. 3 times in a row, 1 in 8. With every single round, the probability that you're just on a lucky streak gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And check this out. After just 10 rounds, the chance that you just guessed right every single time is less than 0.1%. It's 0.09%. At this point, it's statistically insane to think you're just lucky. Your friend is totally convinced. And there it is. You've proven you know the secret, that the balls are different colors without ever telling them what those colors are. You've given them zero knowledge besides the fact that your claim is true. That, my friends, is a zero-knowledge proof. Okay, so that little game with your friend, that's what we call an interactive proof. It's a back and forth, right? A kind of interrogation. But it's got a big weakness. It's not transferable. If you want to convince someone else, you have to go through the whole song and dance all over again. The real game changer, the thing that makes this tech so powerful, is the non-interactive proof. This is where you create a single solitary piece of data, the proof, and then anyone, anywhere in the world can look at it and verify your claim is true, all on their own. You don't even have to be there. And that is what unlocks all the crazy real-world applications.
So, let's move on from the thought experiment and see how this amazing idea is being used right now to secure everything from your money to, and I'm not kidding, international peace. Probably the most well-known place you'll find these is in crypto. So on a blockchain like Bitcoin, everything's out in the open, right? Every transaction is public. But then you have projects like Zcash.
They use a special type of ZKP called a zk-SNARK, and what this does is let you prove you have enough money for a transaction and prove that the transaction itself is totally valid, all while keeping the sender, the receiver, and the amount completely secret. It's a huge deal for financial privacy.
And hey, remember that bank loan problem we started with? Well, this technology solves it, like perfectly. A bank can use something called a zero-knowledge range proof. So instead of handing over all your pay stubs and bank statements, you just give them a cryptographic proof. All that proof says is, yep, my salary is within the range you require for this loan. That's it. The bank learns that one single crucial fact and nothing else. They have no idea what your exact salary is, just that you qualify. Problem solved.
Okay, but if you want a really truly mind-bending example, let's talk about nuclear disarmament. Seriously, how does one country prove to another that it's actually dismantled a nuclear warhead when the design of that warhead is one of its most classified state secrets? You can't just let inspectors poke around. Well, you use ZKPs. They've actually developed a protocol where inspectors can verify that, yes, this object has all the properties of a warhead without ever learning a single thing about its secret design, its geometry, its composition, nothing. It's a way to create trust in a situation where, let's be honest, there's usually none.
Now, as amazing and revolutionary as all this sounds, we gotta be realistic. It's not some magic bullet that solves every problem. Like any really powerful tech, it comes with its own set of trade-offs and limitations.
First off, these proofs are all about probability, not 100% certainty. The odds of faking one can be made so small it's ridiculous, like smaller than the chance of a random meteor striking you right now. But it's never technically zero. Second, creating these proofs takes a lot of horsepower. It's computationally really intensive, which can be a bottleneck, especially for things like mobile phones. And lastly, there's a weird downside to being so good at protecting secrets. If, for some reason, everyone who knows the actual secret is gone, then that knowledge is lost to history, forever. All you're left with is the proof that someone, at some point, used to know it.
And you know, it's also pretty wild to think that while this all feels super futuristic, the core idea isn't new at all. The concept was first cooked up in an academic paper way back in 1985. It's taken literally decades of research, plus the insane growth in computing power we've seen, to drag it out of the world of theory and turn it into a practical tool that we can actually use today.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, zero-knowledge proofs are more than just a cool trick. They represent a fundamental change in how we can even think about privacy. We've been living in a world where you have to reveal your data to prove things, but ZKPs are pushing us toward a new world, one where we can simply prove things about our data while keeping the data itself totally locked down and private. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. We now have this incredible tool that opens up a whole new way of interacting with the digital world. So the question isn't just, can we keep this secret anymore? The new question is, what secrets are so important to us that we'll choose to prove them instead of sharing them ever again?